Welcome to House Lex Estate. Today we're doing a deep dive into Sun Tzu's The Art of War. We've got excerpts, analysis, the works.
It's not just about military stuff either. It resonates much wider, in understanding conflict, competition.
Absolutely. From ancient wisdom like this to, well, whatever's new.
So our mission today, let's unpack the core ideas of the art of war, figure out why it's still so relevant, all based on the sources we've gathered.
Okay, let's jump in. The man himself, Sun Tzu, he's a bit mysterious, isn't he? Like, did he definitely exist?
That's the big question right off the bat. There's been centuries of debate.
Right.
A primary source, Sima Qian, a really respected Chinese historian, he firmly believed Sun Tzu, that's the name he used, was real. And Sima Qian wrote that the art of war was already, pretty well known in his time.
So a major historian vouched for him. Seems strong.
It carries weight, definitely. And there are later mentions too, like in the W-U-H Chenchu.
But. I sense a but.
Yeah, the but is that those later accounts often seem a bit, well, legendary. Maybe less reliable historically than Sima Qian.
Okay, so embellishments creep in later. What about evidence against him being real?
Well, this is where it gets tricky. There's a major historical text, the TSO Chan. It covers the exact period Sun Tzu supposedly lived.
Yeah, does it mention him?
Not a word. Nothing about Sun Tzu, nothing about the art of war. Complete silence from a huge contemporary record.
Wow. Okay, that's significant. If he was a big deal general, you'd expect something.
Exactly. That silence is a major reason many scholars are skeptical about the traditional story.
So what's the alternative theory then?
A pretty compelling one is that maybe the person Sun Tzu is debated, but the text itself, the art of war, likely comes from that era, late Chenchu period.
So the ideas are ancient, even if the single author is questionable.
That seems to be the consensus now. The wisdom is, from that time, maybe compiled, maybe by one person we can't definitively ID.
Interesting. Is there anything in the book that helps date it?
Yes, actually, there's internal evidence.
Yeah.
The text specifically refers to the conflicts between the states of Wu and Yu.
Ah, okay. Real historical events mentioned inside the work itself.
Precisely. Those references strongly suggest it was written during or just after that conflict period. So the time frame fits, regardless of the authorship debate.
Right. So whether it's one genius or a collection of them, the principles are what matter. And discipline. That seems huge in this text.
Oh, absolutely central. Discipline, obedience, non-negotiable for Sun Tzu. That famous story about drilling the concubines, it illustrates it perfectly.
Yeah, tell us that one again. It's pretty memorable.
Okay, so the king of Wu wasn't totally sold on Sun Tzu's skills, right? So he says, train my concubines.
A tough dig.
You bet. Sun Tzu explains the drill commands clearly, but the women just giggled, didn't follow orders.
Uh-oh.
So Sun Tzu says, okay, first time, maybe my fault. Orders weren't clear enough. That itself is a point leadership clarity first.
Good point. Responsibility starts at the top.
Exactly. So he explains everything again, crystal clear. They drill again, and more giggling.
Oh boy.
Now Sun Tzu says, okay, orders were clear. If orders are clear and soldiers disobey, the fault lies with the officers.
And the officers were?
The king's two favorite concubines, who he'd put in charge of the company.
Oh, did he actually?
He did. The king pleads, don't execute my favorites. But Sun Tzu says, essentially, you made me general for this drill, my word is law here. And he has the two leaders execute.
Whoa, that's extreme, but makes a point about authority.
A very sharp point. He appoints the next two in line, runs the drill again.
And this time?
Perfect execution. Silence, precision. Sun Tzu turns to the king and says, your troops are now properly disciplined.
I bet the king was impressed. And maybe a little terrified.
Probably both. It just hammers home that need for absolute obedience and the leader's duty to enforce it no matter what. Discipline isn't optional.
Definitely not. Okay, so beyond that stark lesson, he talks about these 5 constant factors in war. What are those?
Right, these are like the fundamental elements you have to weigh up. They are, first, the moral law. Second, heaven. Third, earth. Fourth, the commander. And fifth, method and discipline.
Okay, let's break those down. Moral law sounds philosophical.
Not exactly in our modern sense. For Sun Tzu, it meant the harmony between the ruler and the people. Like, do the people trust their leader so much they'll follow him into any danger?
Ah, so popular support and legitimacy. Got it. What about heaven?
Heaven covers things beyond direct control. Night and day, seasons, weather, essentially timing and the environment's conditions. You have to work with heaven, not against it.
Makes sense. Don't march into a blizzard. And earth. terrain.
Exactly. Distance is danger, open ground, narrow passes, high ground, low ground. The physical landscape and its strategic implications. Understanding the terrain is critical.
Knowing the battlefield, okay, then the commander. What makes a good one, according to Sun Tzu?
He lists 5 virtues: wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness.
So smart, trustworthy, cares for troops, brave, but also disciplined, balance.
A very demanding balance,
Okay.
yes. You need the strategic mind and the character.
And the last one, method and discipline. Sounds like logistics.
Pretty much. It's the practical stuff. How the army is structured, the chain of command, keeping supplies flowing, managing the budget, the organizational backbone.
So a general needs to master all 5.
Absolutely. Understand these 5, you win. Ignore them, you'll lose. He even suggests using them as a checklist to compare yourself to the enemy.
Like whose leader has more moral law, whose general is wiser.
Exactly. A pre-battle assessment based on these core factors.
Fascinating. Now, if there's one idea that just screams art of war, it's got to be deception.
100%. All warfare is based on deception. It's not just a tactic. It's the foundation, the core principle.
Give us some examples of how he suggests using it.
Well, things like appear disordered when you're actually disciplined, seem timid when you're brave, pretend to be weak to make the enemy arrogant and careless.
It's all about misdirection, creating a false reality for your opponent.
Precisely. Manipulating their perception. There's that story about Sun Tzu and the Xingnu spies.
Remind me.
The Xingnu deliberately showed the Han spies only their weakest soldiers and sickliest animals, made themselves look like an easy target.
So the Han Emperor underestimated them.
Walked right into an ambush because of that deception. It shows how powerful perception management is.
A classic blunder based on bad intelligence, fed deliberately. Any other examples?
Sun Pin's strategy against Pang Chuan is brilliant too.
Okay.
Sun Pin was retreating, right? He knew the enemy was pursuing, so each night he ordered his army to light fewer cooking fires than the night before.
Making it look like his army was shrinking. Desertions, maybe?
Exactly. Pang Chuan saw the dwindling fires, thought Sun Pin's army was collapsing, got overconfident, and rushed ahead with a smaller force.
Into a trap.
Right into an ambush Sun Pin had set in a narrow pass. A devastatingly effective use of simple deception.
Using campfires? That's clever. Okay, linked to that maybe, Sun Tzu also talks a lot about speed. Avoid long wars. Why?
He's very clear on the dangers of prolonged campaigns. Basically, war drains everything, weapons get dull, morale drops, soldiers get exhausted,
And the national treasury.
gets emptied. Supporting a long war bleeds the state dry. And then, he warns, when you're weak from a long fight.
Other enemies see an opportunity.
Exactly. Neighboring rulers will take advantage. Even the wisest leader can't fix the mess once the nation is impoverished and vulnerable.
So speed isn't just tactical, it's about national survival.
Fundamentally, he warns against stupid haste, don't be reckless. But he insists that dragging things out is always foolish because it ruins the country. Swift, decisive action is the goal.
Which ties into economy of resources, doesn't it? He talks about the cost of war.
He does. He lays out the immense cost of keeping an army and the field provisions, equipment, the burden on the people back home.
So how do you manage that cost?
His key advice is forage on the enemy, live off their land.
Sounds practical, if a bit harsh.
It's pure logistics. He calculates that 1 cartload of enemy supplies captured is worth 20 of your own because you don't have the huge transportation costs and effort.
20 to 1. That's a massive difference.
Huge. Same for animal fodder. It's just far more efficient to use what you take.
And does this connect to soldier morale?
Yes, he also says to reward soldiers with the captured spoils. It incentivizes them to fight hard and keeps morale up. So it's logistics and motivation.
Right. Efficient and keeps the troops happy. Now, one of the most famous ideas, subdue the enemy without fighting. How does that even work?
That's the absolute pinnacle of skill for Sun Tzu. The best general isn't the one who wins 100 battles.
But the one who wins without needing to fight.
Exactly. Taking cities without sieges, overthrowing kingdoms without massive battles. It's about breaking the enemy's will, dismantling their strategy, using diplomacy, maneuver, making actual fighting unnecessary.
Winning before the battle begins, essentially.
That's the ideal. Supreme excellence. Minimum cost in lives and resources.
Which must require incredible adaptability, right? You can't have one fixed plan for that.
Absolutely. He talks about the 9 variations, which doesn't literally mean only 9 ways to adapt.
It means infinite ways.
Pretty much. It symbolizes the need for constant A good general assesses the specific situation and adjusts. They don't just stick to the textbook.
So knowing when not to do something is as important as knowing what to do.
Critically important, he says. Don't travel certain roads, don't attack certain armies, don't besiege certain towns, don't contest every position, and even don't always obey the ruler's command if it doesn't fit the situation on the ground.
Wow, disobeying the sovereign. That's bold for his time.
It shows how much weight he put on the commander's judgment in the field, based on the immediate reality, especially the terrain.
Speaking of commanders, he also warns about specific flaws a general might have.
Yes. 5 dangerous faults. Recklessness, just charging ahead without thinking. Cowardice, afraid to take necessary risks. A hasty temper, getting angry and making bad decisions.
Okay.
Oversensitivity to shame, worrying too much about personal honor clouds judgment. And finally, over-solicitude for the troops, caring so much about their immediate comfort that you compromise the mission.
It's all about balance again, avoiding extremes.
Exactly. Any one of these can lead to disaster, no matter how good your army is.
Now, terrain, you mentioned it before, but he goes into detail, right? Different types of ground.
Oh yes, meticulously. He lists 6 main types. Accessible ground, easy for both sides. Entangling ground, hard to get out of once you're in. Temporizing ground, where a stalemate is likely.
Okay.
Narrow passes, choke points. Precipitous heights, high ground advantages. And distant positions far from the enemy involves long marches.
And he has specific advice for each.
He does. Like, on accessible ground, grab the high, sunny spots and guard your supply lines. In entangling ground, if the enemy isn't prepared, attack. If they are, don't bother, just get out.
A field guide to landscapes. He also mentions 6 calamities caused by the general.
Right. These are natural disasters. They're failures of leadership.
Right.
Things like flight attacking when outnumbered. Insubordination, soldiers too strong, officers weak. Collapse, officers too harsh, soldiers weak.
More leadership errors.
Ruin, senior officers acting recklessly on their own. Disorganization, the general being weak and indecisive. En route, underestimating the enemy and deploying badly. All avoidable leadership mistakes.
It really puts the onus on the commander. Then there are the 9 situations, more terrain types.
Sort of. They describe the army's strategic position relative to the terrain and the enemy. It's more situational.
Okay, like what?
Dispersive ground, fighting in your own territory. Facile ground, just a little way into enemy land. Contentious ground, strategically vital spots. Open ground, easy movement. Intersecting highways, key junctions.
Keep going.
Serious ground, deep in enemy territory. Difficult ground, mountains, marshes. Hemmed in ground, difficult entry-exit, easy ambush. And desperate ground, no escape.
And the advice changes drastically for each.
Completely. On dispersive ground, don't fight. On facile, keep moving. Contentious, don't attack if the enemy holds it. Hemmed in, use stratagem.
And desperate ground, that sounds bad.
On desperate ground, the advice is stark. Show your soldiers there's no hope of survival. Make them fight like cornered animals for their lives.
Wow, psychology again. Okay, one last really big area, spies. He puts huge emphasis on intelligence.
Absolutely massive. Knowing the enemy's situation is paramount. More important, he implies, than the sheer size of your army.
And he had categories of spies.
5 types. Local spies, recruited locals. Inward spies, enemy officials you've turned. Converted spies, enemy spies you've flipped to your side. Doomed spies, ones you feed false info to mislead the enemy. And surviving spies, your own agents who return with info.
That's incredibly detailed, a whole intelligence operation.
Sophisticated for the time, definitely. He stresses treating spies well, rewarding them generously, keeping absolute secrecy.
And the person running the spies needs special qualities.
Sagacity, benevolence, integrity, ingenuity. You need to be smart and trustworthy to handle them. But ultimately, that knowledge, especially from converted spies, is the key to victory.
It really underscores the information warfare aspect even back then. So looking at the big picture, the art of war's legacy is huge, isn't it?
Immense. Our sources mention famous Chinese generals throughout history. Han Xin, Feng Guo, Lu Meng, Yao Fei. They all studied it religiously.
And not just military figures.
No, literary figures like Sun Tzu admired its insights too. Of course, ancient China saw a lot of warfare, which kept it relevant.
Were there debates about the morality of it all?
Yes, the excerpts touch on that. Some saw war pragmatically as a necessary evil, maybe even a function of government to punish wrongdoing, like the thinker Tumu suggested, a tool to bring order.
A sort of necessary evil argument?
Right. Contrasted with perhaps more idealistic views, it shows the complexity of how war was viewed.
So wrapping up this deep dive, what are the absolute core takeaways from Sun Tzu?
I'd say meticulous planning is everything. Deception is fundamental. Discipline is non-negotiable. Adaptability is crucial. and intelligence. Knowing your enemy is paramount.
These ideas, centuries old, still feel incredibly potent.
They really do. Which leads to a great question for everyone listening. How might these ancient principles, planning, deception, discipline, adaptability, knowing the situation, apply today?
Not just in war, but maybe business,
Negotiation?
even personal challenges.
Exactly. How can this ancient strategic thinking inform modern life ethically and effectively? It's definitely something to ponder.
A lot to think about from a text thousands of years old. Really fascinating stuff.
It really is a truly enduring work. And if you found this useful and want more explorations like this, please do subscribe to House Lex Estate. We'll be back with more.